Today on CityCast Denver. The Nuggets are crushing it this season, but as they enter the Western Conference Finals at number 1, many Denver fans still can't watch the team on TV. I knew exactly the person to ask about this sports fans conundrum, an extra special guest who comes straight out of the Northside. Plus, we're joined by one of our Friday favorites and fellow Northsider to discuss why she cheers for any Colorado team, no matter how they're doing. Today is Friday, April 14th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome back to CityCast Denver, the show about the city that is no longer the weed capital of the U.S. Portland has taken our crown. Justine, does this matter to you at all?
Of course it's Portland. I knew it.
Stealing our thunder?
Whatever. I was never really totally on board with the way legalization happened, so whatever.
Oh my God. This is what
it needs to be legalized nationally.
We can't not talk about politics when you're in this room. That's what I love. Vic, does that matter to you at all?
I agree with her. 100%. For various reasons. I have no problem with weed whatsoever, but the way it was thrust upon us as a community, I think it gave us a stigma for a while in Denver.
That's a really great point.
Everywhere I went in sports, oh, you're from the weed city.
Oh.
And it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
I didn't like that stigma.
Yeah.
Not that, again, you can say what you want about weed. I just didn't like the stigma that was attached to it at the time.
I didn't think about that, but that's such a great point because 10 years ago, it was a way different conversation.
Of course it was.
And then somewhere like, the arena of sports where we are looking at every single thing that a player is doing with their bodies.
Sure. Well, suddenly professional
game.
Athletes from other cities love coming to road trips to Denver. It was a place to go.
What
musicians too.
Yes.
Yeah, Denver became an extra stop off for tons of bands and rappers and everyone that was like, it's legal.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's good context. Well, it's Friday. We're in the Westward Studios. Paul is still on vacation, but I swear he's coming back. I'm joined by, obviously, our state politics and green chili correspondent and my homegirl who reps the North and East Side, Justine Sandoval.
Hello.
Hi. And then you've also heard his voice, but you should know him already. He's a sportscaster, a host for Altitude, a 32-time Emmy winner, and a proud Northsider. Vic Lombardi, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, Vic, I wanted to talk to you because the Nuggets are doing awesome.
Yep.
And that's not always the case. But we are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference Finals. For people who aren't really tuned in, what does that mean for the Nuggets?
It means everything. Listen, I've been a Nuggets fan my entire life. I used to be a Nuggets ball boy. I followed the team from the get-go. This is the first time since the Nuggets entered the NBA in 1976 that they will enter the postseason, the playoffs, as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So it's never happened before, and I think it's a wonderful thing to get to. Now they have to finish it off.
That seems to be our problem sometimes.
Yes.
For sure. Justine, are you a Nuggets fan?
I'm a hometown girl, so I root for every single Denver sports team.
I'm with you.
Yes, no matter what, win or lose, I am there. I admit that I don't follow the Nuggets as much as like other people do, but when it's time to root for the Nuggets, I show up and I show out.
You're wearing a Nuggets Wu-Tang shirt right now, so I trust you.
So that qualifies.
I trust you. So, Vic, like you were saying, this could be monumental, again, if they can get all the way there. If the Nuggets won, what would that mean?
I have a prediction, and I've made this prediction on my radio show. You know, we've seen championship parades here in Denver multiple times. Yes. We saw them with the Broncos 3 times. We've seen them
recently with the Avs
3 times. Now, the Broncos parades, when I say this, consider when the Broncos parades happen. They usually happen in February when it's cold outside.
Oh my gosh.
I think maybe it's limited, the amount of people. The Avs parades were tremendous. Hockey and the hockey fascination in this town is grown every year. But I'm here to tell you, there is a sleepy number of basketball fans who are ready to wake up. If the Nuggets were to win the championship, it would produce the largest parade in Denver history. That is my prediction, and I guarantee it'll happen.
So you're basing this. I'm hearing one on the weather.
the
Right.
weather. It'll happen if they were to win the championship. And by the way, I'm not guaranteeing a championship. I'm guaranteed the size of the parade if it were to happen. It would happen in late June. The weather would be ideal. And I think basketball is one of those sports where everybody understands the game. So even those who are peripheral fans, right? Even those who don't understand, I'm not a big Nuggets fan. Like you just mentioned it, Justine. You may not know all the players or whatnot, but basketball is basketball. It's easy to follow. If you won a championship in that sport, people come out of the woodworks for that.
Oh, I would love to see that. I saw this lady at a Nuggets game recently who had this satin Nuggets jacket that looked like she probably keeps it in a dry cleaning bag in the closet and only brings it out. And like, those are the people I want to see.
Well, parades are special. I've told people this very few times. Can you get a public display in a downtown area where it's not a protest, a boycott, something of that nature? This is everyone from every walk of life, from every political faction, every belief, every religion, and you're all gathering together outside, not protesting, you're celebrating. And that doesn't happen too often. Sports does that.
That's such a great point. Justine, am I going to see you on a fire truck or the back of a Corvette, or what are you
I will be
doing?
there because if there's one thing I love is collective joy.
Yes.
And that's one thing growing up in Denver is like when it's sports time, there's this collective joy. Like whether it's going to like my grandpa's bar, the Bronco bar, and watching games, no matter what the sport is, food, all of these things that come together, there is this like joy we find in celebrating our teams. And it's about the sport, but it's also about that collective joy. So definitely be there. And I agree. I think that it would be one of the biggest parades ever in Denver history.
I get so excited. I'm trying not to get too excited. Vic, why should we be hesitant? What's the Nuggets story here?
There's a thing in the Nuggets culture called #NugLife. And what that defines is if there's a hurdle that'll get you, the Nuggets have found it. And many times it's come in the forms of injuries in the playoffs. Other times it's who they've faced in the playoffs. The Lakers have denied the Nuggets 3 times in the Western Conference Finals. So you're sort of used to not succeeding. You're sort of used to that at some point, this is going to happen. And this year they've defied those odds, For the first time in history, we've got an MVP on this roster, a 2-time most valuable player. They've never had a most valuable player. So there are things that are outside the norm. They're breaking the mold slowly but surely. But #NugLife, for anyone who's been a longtime Nuggets fan, it lives in the subconscious. And it's still there for me. I know that much.
Nug life. That reminds me of one time at North High School, we had one of the Nuggets players coming to give us a bunch of free tickets. And they sent me to greet him. And I wrote a sign that said, "The Nugget." And he was like, "That's me. I'm the Nugget." So.
Do you remember which Nugget it was?
No. And I wish I did. Now I'm terrible. But
it's okay.
Yes, it was.
What era? When was that?
God, 2003.
We'll narrow it down.
2003 Nuggets. Man, that wasn't the good times.
No, 2000. That's why they were giving us a pile of free tickets to North High School.
It's probably the biggest audience they've had in a long time there, 2003.
They were bringing us in. They were like, let's import the audience.
My husband's talked about that because he's like a huge Nuggets fan. And now it's like, if you want to go.
Good luck getting a ticket.
Yeah.
See, I was wondering about that because as kids, like growing up being a Rockies fan and a Nuggets fan, we used to get free tickets galore.
Yes.
That's a great point.
That's how I grew up with it, too. When I was a kid, my dad, we used to call in way back. I was a Nuggets fan in the 80s, and they used to have, at halftime, operators standing by, call in for your $2 Nuggets tickets. And so we would call in and go to the old McNichols Arena for $2 a game. It was a different time. Now, this year, just to give you a little clarity on how different it is, they sold out 31 of their 41 home games this year. The most fans ever in Nuggets history went in to watch the Nuggets this year. Yeah.
So it's also an economic driver. We got to, this is a thing that the city can benefit from in so many ways if we continue to build our fan base.
Well, if people keep moving here, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I kind of want to talk about. Vic, I know you can't comment directly on the Altitude Comcast situation, but you've been in sports broadcasting for a long time. There's a lot of conversations about how we watch television these days.
Yes.
The situation for our own fans in this market, a lot of them can't watch their winning teams. What do you think about it all?
I'm going to give you the viewpoint from a fan.
Yes.
It's shameful
that
a fan can't watch the hometown teams. It's shameful. Now I'm going to give you the reasons why. And I think this is where we run into trouble. And this is where I think there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of the blame game going on.
Yeah.
It is a product of a changing television model, much like the newspaper model changed, much like the radio model changed. Everything changes and it takes time. The television model is undergoing some serious technological changes. Cord cutting has led to this. And we're at a point now where Denver is sort of they're the guinea pigs of the national scene because it's an independent regional sports network. It's not attached to a big conglomerate.
Good point.
So they can't, they can bully an
There's not
independent. Exactly. And what's happening
leverage
is
is
the
not there.
television future, the future of how you watch and how you digest television sports is going to look so different in 5 years than it looks right now. And that's why we are where we are. People want to say, oh, well, it's Altitude's fault or it's this person's fault. It's the fault of a changing model. And sometimes when technology changes things, you can't blame anyone but technology.
Yeah.
And that's where we stand.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I have to say I may or may not watch my Nuggets through may or may not be legal means.
Well, you know what? More
But-
power to you. I tell people all the time, oh, well, I stream it. Great. However you get the product. Listen, if I were in anyone's shoes, I'll give you a great example of this. My kid in college, I went to his place a couple years ago, and obviously the games are blacked out. He goes, Dad, I don't understand why people are making such a big deal about these games not being seen in Denver. I go, what do you mean, dude? You can't see the games. He goes, we get every game we want. I go, well, not every kid has a house of college kids who understand how to rewire their computers and offer VPNs from Madagascar. I mean, most
just
people
reroute that game through
Exactly
Madagascar
right.
and you get
You
your
know,
local
my-
your local sports team.
My kid the other night watched an Avalanche game. Get this. He plays video games with his pals. There were 12 of them. They were playing a video game. And on one of the video screens, while they're playing the video game, they're watching the Avs games on an illegal stream. All 12. And they got it on some Discord. And some of you will know what that means.
Yes.
I'm going to feel really old. But they put it on Discord and they watched the game. I heard that story with my mouth agape. And that just goes to show you, we in this business, we're going from the dinosaur ice age to the computer age in a span of 5 years.
And it's not that people don't want to watch. I think that's the
course.
important part. Justine, how do you watch?
Oh, well, I call it 20-something, and I'm like, how do I stream this Canelo fight, this Nuggets game, this?
That's exactly how you do it.
Yeah, no, seriously, that is a thing. One thing, I'm really appreciative of your insight here because as an outsider, I've just always seen this like Comcast altitude fight, and I don't really understand the details that's going on. I just know that it's been going on forever, and even Mayor Webb was pissed off enough to write a letter to Phil Weiser about it. Like, can we watch our hometown teams? So, yeah, I mean, it makes no sense that the people in the city cannot watch their team.
I'll leave you with this. If, because a lot of people want to blame the ownership of the Nuggets, the Avs, altitude, Kroenke. They want to blame him and say, what are you doing? Why don't you let us watch? And I'm gonna say this pretty easily. If you own a business, if you own any business, and whether the business is a community business or if you just sell trinkets on the side of the street, would you give away your product for free because you're having distribution issues? Would you give away the product for free? Because that's what people are saying. You should be giving away this product for free. It can't be given away for free, no matter what the issue is.
I mean, this is the eternal conversation about streaming. The value.
Yes.
The value of the product.
And by and large, streaming devalues the product because it's too easy to access.
Yeah.
That's the trouble with streaming. I mean, Netflix has faced it. Every streaming how many streaming platforms do you take from your relatives, from your mom and dad, from your brothers and sisters?
Or
how many
take from
passwords?
me?
You know what
Are
I'm
you
saying?
the dealer?
I'm the dealer. Everyone's on my account.
We're all streaming drug dealers in some facet. And, I take streams from my parents. They take streams from me. We exchange streams. It's a big black market exchange.
Yeah.
But what that
point.
does is it takes money off the table. And I think these businesses that have been doing it one way, they haven't adjusted quickly enough.
Yeah.
And that's why the model is changing.
So you think in 5 years, maybe Colorado figures it out and we go from being the guinea pig to the one that figured it out?
Well, maybe so. I just think there are enough people out there like my parents in their 70s who, if you ask them on NFL Thursday nights, it's on Amazon now, right? And so my dad would call me all the time and say, well, how do I get this? And I'd have to walk him through it. And I'd have to physically go to the home to walk him through it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that don't know how to do that.
Sure.
And so streaming is not just the answer. Well, get an app. Well, what about those folks who don't know how to access an app?
And they still want to be sports
Exactly
fans.
right.
I agree. We don't take into account the technology gap for our elders enough. Like, even during the pandemic, people are like, just have them order their groceries. I'm like, my grandfather doesn't even have the internet. Like, he had to tell me, like, he asked me if he could turn his phone off.
That's a great point. Because I do think a lot of OG Broncos fans, for instance, I mean, a lot of them are older. That was the team. You know what I mean? That is our identifying team. Justine, your family runs a bar where people watch sports. How does that go?
I mean, we have basically a bar dedicated to the Broncos. So like, it's like Sunday religion or Thursday or Monday or whatever day of the week it is. It's hard.
Where is the bar?
It's on 27th and Curtis Street. It's called the Colorado Ticks Club.
Okay.
It's been there since 1956.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's basically kind of like a VFW licensing. So it's a private club, but I think we might have the oldest liquor license in the neighborhood now, because all the other old bars have shut down.
Yeah.
I want to check that to the city, actually, because there's actually a lot of the old bars have shut down and we're still running. But short story long, we've been watching sports in and out of there for years, and they still take cash. So that will bring it all back. Like, they only take cash. I'm like sitting there with a bunch of old Chicano men all the time. I'm like, look, we could get a Square reader and I could bring people in here. We can make so much more money. And they're like, I don't know. We don't even have internet here. So
you want to know the biggest variance? When it's funny, I do a radio show with two guys, and a couple of the other guys are younger millennials, and you want to tell the difference between the old and young. We say, pull out your wallet. How much cash are you carrying? And I come from the cash era. I always carry cash. I don't know why. I don't even use it. I just carry it.
Yeah.
I carry cash in my wallet everywhere I go.
That's a really good
I have a lot of cash right now in my wallet, only because I bartended at the Ticks Club a few weeks ago and I left with cash tips. But yeah, so if we go to streaming, I'm going to have to go and remodel the entire Ticks Club and get Wi-Fi, because there'll be no way for like all of these old viejitos and viejitas to watch the game.
Yeah. And that's important. Well, thank you guys both for this conversation. I think it's really important to have that nuance, Vic. Like the thing we're actually facing is this shifting how we do things, how we watch. And I don't know. I just hope we figure it out, because I have a 2-year-old. He has already been indoctrinated into the Nuggets.
Again, it's shameful for those kids who haven't been able to enjoy the glory years of both the Nuggets and the Avs. You can't stress enough. We have two teams. One is the number 1 seed. The other one is the defending Stanley Cup champion. And they've been off the majority of televisions in Metro Denver for the last 4 years.
How do we raise our next generation?
That is unbelievable
Denver
to me. And as a Denver native, I can't believe it.
This is a cultural issue.
Yes.
I also understand that no one is blameless and no one is all to blame.
Yeah.
It is a problem, a systematic problem.
Yeah.
Not one problem. It's many problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with something else. And we're back. You both, this has kind of already come up. You both grew up on the north side. So
where'd you grow up, Justine?
35th and Lowell.
Oh, man, we're neighbors.
Really? Yeah, my parents are still there. I call them the last Chicanos on the block.
My parents are still the last Italians on the block. My parents are on 43rd and Perry, right near that area. So not too far at all.
They are neighbors.
Yeah.
We've got the Chicano side. We've got the Italian side. This is the story of the north side.
Exactly right. I lived in North Denver when it was all Italian and all Chicano.
Yeah.
My best friends were Mexican.
Yeah.
I mean, and we, back then, you didn't ride your bike at night. It was a little different, right?
Yeah.
There was things going. Now they give you a bike. Now you need a bike. I had 4 bikes stolen in a week once when I was in the summer. Now you want a bike? There's bikes for you to take home.
This is the conversation. It's changed quite a bit, but I think that there's some pieces and components of the community that are still there. And I wondered for each of you, is there a restaurant that you go to that's still open or that is new and still has that vibe that you love that's really a north side place to you?
I'll start because I am the worst person to ask that question to. I grew up in a household where we never ate out. It was like taboo. We never ate out. If we ate out, we went to Burger King and got a chicken sandwich, and that was it. Or we'd go to the occasional Casa Bonita where my sister worked, and we get free sopapillas. But my dad would bring home a Chubby's burrito every once in a while. Every meal to this day, in fact, when I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to my mom and dad's house, and my brothers will meet me there. We eat every day at 1:00 at my mom's house, every day. And we've done that our entire lives.
Really?
And, yeah, every single day we eat there. And it's just a sort of an unknown. Family and eating go hand in hand with us. So we don't eat out. Like my wife loves to eat out. I'm not an eat out kind of guy. I don't know why. It's weird.
So if you really want the Northside experience, you have to go to Vic Lombardi's parents' house at 1:00.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Have lunch.
I think one of the things I miss most about the Northside is the Italian Chicano dynamic of like this family, like eating together and being together. I mean, it was all about family.
Yeah.
And in those days, too, you like lived here and then your aunt or uncle lived down the street and like everyone was there.
In walking distance. Yeah.
I think Chubby's will always be.
I know. I was
for
like,
me.
I know you're a diehard Chubby's gal.
I do.
So is my dad.
I can't hang.
Yeah.
My digestive system cannot hang.
And Chubby's has its issues, but I'm still always there.
Oh.
Yeah. Back in the old days, before it got a little crazy, my dad worked at Burlington Northern Railroad, and he was he worked on the railroad tracks by 38th, right on the underpass, and he'd stop by Chubby's, the original, and come home with all those burritos, and we looked forward to that day. And the tamales in that area. Your last name's Sandoval, correct? Any relation to the Councilwoman Sandoval?
No. I'm very close with those Sandovals.
Okay.
And the tamale Sandovals. But my grandmother is Anna Marie Sandoval, which is school on 35th and Zuni.
Yeah.
Academia Anna Marie Sandoval is named after my grandmother.
I got you.
So, but we're a bunch of Sandovals in Denver.
Because the Sandovals own the tamale shop right by Holy
Casita,
Family. That's where we would eat there after school every day.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
Remember the old La Casita on 44th?
Yes.
Two right across the street from the Oriental Theater?
Yeah, that's exactly the one.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm talking about.
We used to go there all the time.
Now it's a big old massive apartment. Don't get me started on this. We'll get into that later.
With the meters on the outside.
Oh, yeah. I can picture that building.
I'd be like, why would you put the meters toward the street?
I mean, I would like to give my shout out to Lechuga's. I know a new family purchased it a couple years ago. They kept the recipes the same. My only complaint is they closed the bar.
What? I did not know that.
They walled the bar off.
Huh.
It's only takeout now.
Interesting.
And like, that was my favorite bar to eat in.
Same. You could sit by your Nuggets wall or your Broncos wall or your Avalanche wall.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. But I don't know. You know, I think the pandemic was a tough time, obviously, for everybody. So the food is still amazing at Lechuga's. You just can't go in there. Maybe, okay, outside of food, is there a place in the neighborhood that you still go that's not your family's home, but maybe like La Raza Park or just some place that you go to feel like you're home?
I love the parks. You just mentioned that. When I go to my mom's after eating all that food, I usually go jog it off around Rocky Mountain Park.
Oh, yeah.
Or Berkeley Park. Those are two precious parks. And I really love the fact that the city kept those intact and actually added to them.
Yeah,
I grew up
nice
in those parks. I grew up in all those parks in that area, and they're beautiful to behold today. I think they're actually better today. I mean, the way they've put paths in there now. And,
oh, yeah.
So those are the places where, you know, my childhood was born. There are a lot of different smaller parks within the North Denver limits that have changed over the years. But speaking of parks, because it used to be an amusement park, Elitch's used to be a park. And I worked at Elitch's.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I worked in the games department there for 3 years when I was making $3.10 an hour, thinking I was the richest man in North Denver. and that's really it was such a different type of situation than it is now, because now it's more about let's amuse them with as many rides as we can. Back then, you stroll around and didn't have to even go on a ride to enjoy the park.
Oh, the trees, just the.
Sure.
I mean, it started as a garden.
Sure.
The old Illich's, I was in the very last era of that, and I don't think anyone understands how epic it was to have like amusement park in your backyard.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like you could hear people screaming on the roller coaster.
I could hear it at night. We lived so close. We lived 8 blocks away. I could hear conversations.
Yeah.
Same. They used to, speaking of free tickets, they used to send free tickets to people in the neighborhood to go once a year.
Totally.
And it was like the thrill. We used to ride our bikes, and then there was that wall, and they had a mural with the big happy sun.
Along 38th.
Yeah. And we would go as kids and like try to look over the wall until we got our free tickets. And so all of that area, Tennyson Street, still to me is very near and
I
dear
used to
to
go
my
to
heart, even though it's
over there.
changed a lot.
Well, if you went in a coma, if 1985 Vic went comatose and woke up today and strode down Tennyson, I'd go, where in the hell am I?
Yeah, no, seriously. I remember taking music lessons at Fletcher Hinton.
Yeah.
Going to play pool at the Q as a kid, the little mom and pop diners that were there. You know, Tennyson that was one of the places. Tennyson and 32nd Street were the areas that our parents first let us go, like as little preteens to explore.
They're like the commercial blocks. Yeah.
And do those things.
Yeah.
And so now to see them, I mean, now it's basically like 24-hour fitness, coffee shop block. It's so different.
Yeah, it is.
But those places and Illich,
Yeah.
Illich's are
Illich's.
iconic. To
You know,
me.
it's good and bad. And I was having this
for sure.
conversation with my parents because I'm not anti-growth I love the fact that people want to move to my city. I love the fact that people cherish this area just like I did growing up.
Yeah.
It's sad to see some of the changes, but then it's also exciting at the same time. I remember sitting with my mom and dad one day and I said, man, this place has changed so much. And they go, we knew it changed. We knew the moment it changed when we saw so many people walking dogs in this area.
God, yeah.
Because in North Denver growing up,
Yeah.
no one owned a pet.
Yeah.
I don't remember owning, I didn't ever see pets.
Yeah.
I had a goat once. We ate it for Easter. We used to have to feed that goat. You're talking about craziness. We were the only family in North Denver that owned a goat that was later eaten. Not to mention rabbits. And then all of a sudden, years later, you walk around and people are they're walking their dogs. They're
Walking their kids.
Exactly
It's cool.
right. Strollers.
Yeah.
And I find it, I'll spend many a nights on the porch of my parents' house just interacting with folks.
Talking to people.
It's just different, man.
Yeah.
It's good and bad. You reminisce and miss the old days, but you're also understanding that this is good for the city and the area.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you guys have any advice for someone who maybe is new to the neighborhood or something that you hope
Get
that they
rich.
appreciate?
Seriously,
Get
the North
rich,
Side is
'cause you
rich as
can't-
hell.
There's no way on hell our forefathers, our ancestors, there's no way my parents, your parents, anyone could afford to live there if they came
that
today.
is the
My
No
parents
chance.
bought their
frustrating
house
part.
for $50,000 in 1985.
Yeah. As much as we miss the things that really made Denver to us, it's grown and it's become a better place, and there's more opportunities. I think about even for jobs. Our market now is hotter than it ever in terms of like we don't have to go somewhere else to do the job we
Yes.
want to do.
Yeah.
I would
Right?
explain it. It's a much more vibrant city.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, and maybe it's because we lived a very thrifty life. I always felt, God, we live in a poor city. What the hell's wrong with us?
I remember feeling
Honest
the
to God.
desolation and like some, after dark, like you wouldn't see anyone.
Like we were
No,
one of
yeah.
the
You
last.
know?
North Denver was one of the last places to get cable television. Like we never had ESPN. I was a big sports fan, and I was so mad. Like my friends on the east side or south, they didn't have cable. I'm like, why? What the hell's going on? What did
But
we
now,
do?
yeah, but we've grown, and I think that's something that's really important for us to remember.
Yeah,
is-
it's hard. I
it's
live
also,
in this.
we wouldn't still be here if it wasn't great.
No,
right?
exactly. I live in this emotional conundrum all the time because, like Vic said, I'm happy to see my city grow. I think people should be able to move where they want to move and come into our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
One thing that I think it could be kind of the developer side that came in and created these neighborhoods, air quotes.
The changing neighborhood.
Don't go
I
there
know.
with
I
me.
was like,
But-
I've seen
but
Vic go off on Twitter about
I think
the names.
mostly it's like come into a neighborhood and know the history, know the community, and
Yeah.
be a part of it. And that's what's
Yeah.
important to me. Because I can't be a hypocrite because I'm still here and I like bougie brunch. I do.
So do I.
I
You're
love
exactly
there's
right.
new things here.
And I like going to get a nice margarita at night on a
Yes.
nice little place off of Tennyson.
But
You're
I
exactly
also want
right.
to go home and stop at the tortilla place that's run by the OG lady
Yeah.
or the Italian restaurant that's been there forever. I forgot to mention Subway Tavern.
Oh,
I've
sure.
been thinking about them. RIP, one of my favorite places. But those that mix income, mixed diversity communities is what I want. And I think a lot of that's been lost. And that's where I have the trauma
That's the
that I can't
struggle.
deal with.
For those of us who see that change, and there's different words for it, right? The
Yeah.
gentrification is the
Sure.
word, and some people use gentrification as an evil word. I don't think it's necessarily evil. I think it just happens. It's a byproduct of, again, people want to live here. And
Right. We have to
things
remember
shift
that.
around. People
Right.
shift around, and that's what happened.
Yeah. And we just happen to
And here we
be
are.
here. And here we are.
By the way, you could tell most natives. Like I get asked this question all the time. And I'll
Okay.
ask you, Justine, you grew up here, right?
Oh,
Did you grow
yeah.
up here, Bree?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys ski?
No.
No.
That's so funny. I can't stand skiing. And people ask me all the time, well, you're in sports. Why don't you ski? I didn't have money to ski
I
as
know.
a kid. You think I
Yeah.
can go up to my mom and dad? Hey, give me $50 to $50. Are you crazy? To go where? To the mountains? You're
Yeah.
gonna go all the way to the mountains and you're gonna go down a hill? And I gotta buy all this stuff for it? No. That wasn't part of the equation.
Yeah.
If you're from North Denver and a North Denver native, you didn't ski growing
Right.
up.
Right. No, but that
we
is
spent a
really
lot of
funny
time
question we
outdoors.
get.
Like we went hunting, camping, fishing, all
Free,
the time.
free stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Public land camping, but
I'm not going
skiing.
to pay
I got
somebody to
sent
get
to
cold.
play in the creek and then come back when it's dark.
No, it's winter. That's when we stay in Denver.
Yeah.
And then by June, we're back out
So
living it up in the mountains.
If we want to dispel anything, it's that not all folks that grew up here ski.
That's
No.
rich people
Just
stuff.
In fact, I would say the percentage of ultra natives who don't ski is higher than many think. Trust me on
I
that.
agree.
Well, this was so fun, you guys. Before we go, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have some events for you all listening to think about doing this weekend.
What's up, weather fam? Rain or shine, I'm Andy Stein here with your CityCast Denver weather forecast for this weekend. Hey, we had some record heat this past week. We hit 85 degrees on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's about 25 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Obviously, we're not anywhere close to that today with a lot of cloudy weather, cool weather, damp, rain showers and snow showers around. Snow showers really staying confined to above 6,000, 6,500 feet. It's just a little too warm out there, but we could see that lower. We're talking about maybe a slushy inch or two of accumulation by Saturday morning in the Denver metro. We could see more than that in the foothills and the Palmer Divide near Castle Rock, but overall, we're not looking at a huge storm. If we get a little bit colder air, we could be talking about several more impacts, but again, not anything major. We're clearing out Saturday night into Sunday. Sunday looking beautiful with temperatures back to around normal in the low to mid 60s with sunny skies. So that is my choice to get outside and enjoy some of what Denver has to offer this weekend.
We're back with our event recs for the weekend. We have Adrienne Gonzalez, our newsletter editor, and we have our returning newsletter editor for the first time on mic since she had her baby, Peyton Garcia. Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. So good to be back.
We're so glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Also, we can say this. Adrian's not going anywhere. He's not going to be working always with Denver, but he's staying within the CityCast network. So we got a little extra bonus today, which is awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. So happy to be to be staying on full time and to have Peyton back. I miss her newsletters.
I know. I love that you guys are both here. So what are you recommending for us this weekend? What do we got?
All right, I'll go first. Bree, this one, I'm looking directly at you for this one. This one's not in Denver. You have to make a little bit of a drive, but to mine and Bree's favorite mountain town of Estes Park.
We love Estes.
Because they are doing Bigfoot days.
Fun.
I have always wanted to go. It seems like it's just a bunch of fun nonsense. There's a dinner on Friday night, and then tomorrow it's a full day festival in the park, the city's park, and they just do a bunch of silly stuff like a Bigfoot calling contest. Then they have like a bunch of people share their Bigfoot sighting stories, and there's food and live music and just all sorts of silly stuff. It's just a great excuse to get up to Estes. It's a great time of year.
It's not a bad drive either.
No,
we both have done it a million times.
No.
It's pretty easy.
So that's my first rec. Adrian, I'll let you take the next one.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. You know, Vic, I since you were here, I was going to pick a Nuggets game. We still haven't. I know they're playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And do we have a person to play with?
No,
Like,
we don't know the opponent yet.
All right, so
No.
that's the unofficial.
Yeah.
But in town is the Denver Auto Show this week.
Fun.
If you're a lover of cars. Do you guys enjoy cars, motorcycles, any of that?
I like driving them.
Yeah. Really? That's my least favorite
I
part.
have a Vespa.
Oh,
Ooh.
I got to see this Vespa.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is that they have scooters. It's not just cars and cool like concept cars, but they have scooters. They have mobility stuff, buses, just about everything you can imagine.
Cool. Where's
Beautiful.
that?
That's at the convention center. It runs through Sunday, April 16th. So
All right. I haven't been to the convention center in a while. An option. What else?
Okay, back in town at Zeppelin Station, they're doing a swap and sip, which is you go and there's all these vendors, food and drink vendors at Zeppelin Station, obviously, but you either buy tickets for $10 or you bring a bag of clothes that you want to donate. And it's just, if you've never done a swap event, it's where everyone brings all these clothes that they don't want anymore and you kind of lay them out and display them and you take what you want. So you're getting rid of your clothes and you're taking other people's old clothes. So you can either go and just shop if you want to like upcycle some old clothes, or you can bring your clothes and trade them in and, browse, get a cocktail.
I should do that. I got about 4 giant Tupperwares full of
Thrifting.
clothes.
Thrifting, yes, thrifting. It's how the kids these days are.
It's
thrifting.
like that's called thrifting.
Yeah, that's
actually.
my kids always tell me they're thrifting. I go, what?
Yes,
I call it going to the segunda.
Yeah.
You know what's gone that used to be very, very prevalent in Denver back in the day? The old flea markets. I used to
there's
love
one still
going
by
to the
my
flea
house.
market.
Yeah.
Yes.
My mom and dad, my grandpa used to take me to the flea market,
I
man.
do love a good
The
flea
best.
market.
The best.
Many a childhood Saturday, Sundays at the Mile High
Mile
Flea
High,
Market.
yeah.
Oh, love that place.
All right, what's our last choice?
All right, for the last one, since I'm leaving y'all, I'm going to cheat and give you 2 different film festivals that are happening this weekend. We have my old stomping grounds, the Women Plus Film Festival. It's in its 14th year, I believe.
At the Sea Film
There's some
Center?
great stuff that's coming out of Sundance that's in this festival. Highly recommend the documentary Black Barbie. Go check it out. The second one is happening at Su Teatro. It is Chican Indie this weekend.
Yeah, Chicken Indies
Through
this
Sunday.
weekend.
So kicked off yesterday. It's going through Sunday. My homie Raul Pastrana has a documentary on our friend Alejandro Jimenez, the poet immigrant.
Oh, cool.
So if you're into movies, go check out all.
I'm such a Su Teatro stan. I will do anything they have going on there. So we've got Bigfoot Days in Estes Park, the Denver Auto Show at the Convention Center, the Swap and Sip at Zeppelin Station, and then we've got the Women Plus Film Festival at the Sea or the Su Teatro Chican Indie Festival. What are you guys feeling like doing this weekend?
Well, as a Colorado hippie and a big fan of Frozen Dead Guy Days, I'm going to say Bigfoot Days sounds
really
pretty
calling you?
enticing to me.
Okay.
But if I don't want to spend the gas money to go up to Estes Park, definitely one of the film festivals.
Okay.
I usually do on the weekends whatever my wife wants me to do. And I guarantee she would really be into the Estes Park thing because she loves going there. She goes there with her girlfriends all the time. I'm sort of a homebody, but I go wherever my wife goes.
I love Estes Park.
I knew
Let's
I'd win
do
Brie
it.
with that one. Let's go to Estes, guys.
That's our official CityCast Denver maybe of the weekend, as in maybe you will see us there up in Estes Park. Justine Sandoval, Vic Lombardi, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. What a walk down memory lane. It's so fun to talk to you all.
Thank you so much. This was great.
And Adrian and Peyton, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. I'm your host, Bree Davies. Our producers this week were Lizzie Goldsmith and Aaron O'Toole. Peyton Garcia and Adrian Gonzalez write our morning newsletter. Our music is by Los Mocochetes with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CityCast Denver and tell a friend about us next time you see them. You can sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Denver, by texting Denver to 66866 and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. See you later.
Oh, yeah. We used
What
to
does
go.
Stan mean? I hear that all the time. No, I'm serious. What does that mean?
I'm a super fan. I'm a big
So why they call
fan.
it Stan?
I think it originates from the Eminem song about a super fan that he had named Stan.
Oh, every
Actually, I know that.
every time I see that, I'm like, I know what it means, but I don't know what it means.
Yes. Thank you for asking, Vic,
I-
because as the resident 80-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old's body,
Yeah.
You didn't know either?
I've just been pretending
Me
to know
too.
what that means.
Sometimes so many times you pretend. I'm sick of pretending. I'm gonna ask questions from now on.
I thought
why-
it was, I meant
you.
I stand for them.
That's what I thought.
But
That's
we're
what
just
I
saying
thought.
stand.
I thought they were just too
I'm
lazy
like,
to
I
add the D.
stand for you.